So first off, Merry Christmas. I hope you guys have had a wonderful Christmas day. The way I did it this year with my family is we sort of celebrated Christmas yesterday on Christmas Eve because my parents are on vacation right now, so I am currently not home. That's why I'm recording outside. Hopefully you guys like the natural light aesthetic. Some videos filmed this week are gonna look nice because I'm at my grandpa's house. He lives near the beach in California. And honestly, guys, I think you're going to like the aesthetic in some of these videos. And yeah, you might even see some ocean in the background. So anyway, on to the video. Basically today what I'm going to be doing is discussing how I can make a cheap DSLR, and this principle applies to basically any camera with manual controls, by the way, look like a much better camera. So maybe what you didn't know is that when you see broadcast footage, whether that be you're watching like HGTV, you're watching something like House Hunters, or you're going and watching something like sports on TV, the one thing that all that video has in common is that it's digitally sharpened. And what this basically does is it makes the video look kind of fake, at least to my eyes anyway. The entire video is going to be kind of subjective, so keep that in mind the entire time. What I'm talking about is my opinion about what looks like good video, but if you're trying to get your video to look more like film, then keep listening. So anyway, the digital sharpening, it basically makes the video look sharper by essentially going and getting the edges of the video, the edges of every shape, and making them more blocky. It looks, I guess, okay to some people. It's a way to compensate for kind of a soft sensor. That's why the DSLRs tend to do it, and why a lot of cameras that are meant for more of a video look tend to sharpen. But if you guys want your footage to look a little bit more like film, if you want more of a natural, organic look, then you want to go turn sharpening off. So if you're in a Canon camera, basically you can just go into the menu, go to picture style, and if you go to neutral, that has sharpening off already, so that's a really good place to go if you immediately want to have sharpening off. Go to neutral, and then that's essentially how you turn sharpening off. It's literally that easy. Go to neutral. You can also make a custom picture profile where you go and turn contrast and saturation off, and that gets you an even flatter image, but you're gonna have to be a little bit more comfortable with color grading if you want to do it that way. I do it that way because it's something I know how to do, but if you just want to have a pretty good looking footage coming out of the camera that's not sharpened, then go to neutral. Because essentially, guys, the reason this looks better is because our eyes see a kind of softer, kind of a little bit blurry sort of world, because that's the world we see. Our eyes don't sharpen things. They see things in a more, I guess when you're talking about camera terms, it's almost like our eyes are kind of like a softer sensor with a soft kind of lens. And I mean, that's kind of, the same holds true if you have bad eyesight. It's kind of like you see something a little bit more blurry. But regardless of how good your eyesight is, you're not going to see what cameras do with sharpened video. That's just not something you're going to see. It's not real. It's something that purely exists in the digital world. So, I mean, if you're making a short film or video and you're looking for that super larger than life kind of digital broadcast look, then I guess you might want to keep sharpening on. But even then, turn sharpening off in camera and add it in post if you really like sharpening. But I guess the main reason I'm talking about this is because a lot of people want to know how can they make their footage look more natural. I mean, I get a lot of people, they send me messages and they're really surprised that I use a T2i, because universally people think of Canon's lower end DSLRs as just bad, I mean, and the reason is a lot of people on YouTube use a T3i and their footage just doesn't look very good. And that's mainly because they're shooting in auto. So yeah, this entire principle, you guys, just don't shoot in auto. That has a lot to do with it. Learn how to do manual focus, learn how to shoot manual. There's a lot of really good resources on YouTube. That's how I learned, is from a guy on YouTube, Tom Ontos. He makes really good filmmaking videos, but he spends 45 minutes basically going over the fundamentals of exposure with aperture, ISO, shutter speed. I think he talks about white balance in the video too. White balance does not have to do with exposure, but he talks about all those things in depth, and I watched his video once, and from there I knew how to shoot manual. So I know a lot of you guys are probably nervous to shoot manual, and I was at first too. it can seem complicated. And what I hear a lot of people come up to me and they tell me, they're like, you know, I don't know how to shoot manual. I'm just not that kind of person. I'm not like a really tech savvy person. And I guess what I'm trying to say here, guys, is it's really kind of simple. It's not as hard as it looks. I mean, people have been shooting manual since analog digital days. Analog film days. I mean, it's a basic thing that if you're planning to do video or photography, you really should learn. I don't say that to sound pretentious. I just think that it's really a good way for you guys to make your camera look better, to make your footage look better, to make your photos look better. And it doesn't involve spending more money. It's just merely learning how to do what your camera can do. And that all goes back to the idea of sharpening, guys. Really, I think you guys will be a lot happier with your footage if you turn sharpening off. I mean, I have seen it firsthand with people that I've helped out with this problem. The minute they turned sharpening to 0, they realized that their footage now had that look they were looking for, and it no longer looked like broadcast television, and all of a sudden it started to look more like film. So, I mean, you guys can really there's so much different looks that people like in video, so you could have sharpened video if that's something you want, but I really feel like for the far majority of people, turning sharpening off is really helpful. So I know on Sony cameras you can't turn sharpening off, you can turn it down to -7, but going down to -7 on sharpening is something that's going to make your videos look a lot better. And 0 on Canon, I think you can also do 0 on Nikon. And then if you guys are using like a cinema camera, I think by default sharpening's already to 0. So, hope this little bit was helpful, guys. Sorry, not a super long, detailed video today. It's Christmas Day when I'm filming this. I just had some extra time, as I said in the beginning, but I hope this bit was helpful. If you guys are filming DSLR video, the DSLR revolution's not dead as far as I'm concerned. I know a lot of people are saying it is, but there's still honestly never been a better opportunity to get started to shoot video. You can get a used Canon T2i for $200. You can get a used Sony camera for $200. There's so many different ways to start. And I just, go and shoot video, you guys. Learn and get better and turn sharpening off. Believe me, you'll be happy you did. So, Christian from Erickson Films wishing you guys a Merry Christmas and now signing off.